Hello, my name is Teresa Berryman and I am currently in my second semester of study with the University of Southern Queensland as an online student. Today I would like to share my presentation for edc1200 Self-Education and Society, Assignment 2. How might education mediate difference and dominance? The event I have chosen to examine appeared on the 7 p.m. project on Monday the 4th of January 2010. I believe the subject matter of this presentation will provide a suitable topic of discussion for the high school year levels. There has been an appeal from the Indian government that strong action be taken over the stabbing of a 21-year-old Indian student in Melbourne. The Indian government is demanding the necessary action be taken by the Australian government in dealing with this incident and not force them to intervene. The Australian government have condemned this latest act of violence. The accounting graduate was stabbed as he walked through a park in Melbourne's western suburbs, dying a short time later in hospital. Police have commented saying there is no evidence to suggest the student was targeted because of his race. The attack has been viewed as another blow to the estimated $15 billion per year overseas student industry. In September 2009, Victorian Premier John Brumby refused to comment on a string of suspected racial attacks on Indians which had been occurring over the previous few months. He did say, however, that these attacks damage Australia's image and any violence, racially motivated or not, was unacceptable. As an introduction to this event, I would recount the details of this story to students. We would then discuss any initial thoughts the students may have in relation to the event. For example, do they feel this event was reported on in a fair and impartial manner? We could discuss what the response of the Australian government has been in dealing with this incident. Do they think the Indian government has a right to intervene if they believe the Australian government has failed to deal with the situation in an appropriate manner? I would then encourage the students to explore the subject further by asking them to examine statistics on racial violence, discuss what they feel may be the reasons for such attacks, scrutinise the response of the police regarding these incidents, explore what the reaction from both the Indian and Australian governments has been to these events, consider the public response to these attacks, and discuss if compensation for victims and their families should be rewarded. From this research, do they believe racism is prevalent in Australian society or is it common in other societies? Do they agree that this type of violence will impact the overseas student industry as mentioned in the report on the 7 p.m. project? And if so, how? Should this proposed impact be a concern, or should the issue of racial violence be addressed more prominently? How would the Australian image suffer from this continuing violence? Is this the type of image we would like projected to the rest of the world? Finally, I would like the students to evaluate what they have discovered about themselves in relation to racial violence. Does racism impact the collective identity of Australians? What impact does it have on them as individuals? Do they think any form of discrimination is acceptable? I would then encourage the students to think about what they can do as individuals and what we can do as a community to improve race relations within Australia. In conclusion, I would encourage my students to view difference as diversity, not as a deficit.